What if the moment where everything feels like it's falling apart is not failure at all, but the moment just before a shift? Today, I'm going to talk about why that moment where things feel like they're breaking can actually be the start of a breakthrough. Before we dive into today's content deeper, I wanted to flag that this video is the beginning of a series of 4 that explores our emotional reactions and nervous system reactions to tension and stress in life. And over the next 4 videos, I will explore 4 steps. Firstly, chaos, the inner chaos, then overwhelm, followed by settling and finding inner safety again. And I hope to bring this understanding so that you can be more gentle and compassionate with yourself when you go through moments of turmoil and your nervous system reacts and responds in the way that it's supposed to. So let's start with chaos. We honor and respect that the external world has chaos. Maybe not honor it, but we respect that the world is that way at times and accept it. But when it comes to our inner world, we seem to set ourselves these standards that we're not going to experience inner chaos and tend to have quite high standards for ourselves and become disappointed within ourselves if we find that inner chaos ramping up and taking over us. And so as humans, we can tend to tell ourselves that chaos is a sign of regression or failure internally when we start to experience. But in truth, it is just your nervous system reorganizing itself when moments of chaos present internally. So let's take an example. Say you've had a day where you've had a few maybe squabbles with work colleagues or members of your family. Maybe you've been overworked, overstretched, things haven't gone right, and it builds up to a moment where you cry, the tears start to come out of your eyes even though you've been trying to hold them back, or you snap at someone. We have a brain freeze and completely stop. It's so tempting for us to look at those situations as moments of failure, regression. What is it that I'm doing wrong here? Why can't I cope? That is the tendency for our minds to seek to explain those situations in that kind of way, when in reality it's not. What's happening is a moment of release or reorganizing of the nervous system to bring it to a crescendo so that things can reset and reorganize. If you think of the example of a wave, it's a beautiful metaphor. A wave, as it builds towards the shore, it gets steeper, more intense, bunches up the energy before it peaks and then breaks. Now, when that wave breaks and crumbles, we don't see that as a failure on behalf of the wave. It's a necessary transformation of the wave to change form. It's still water. Its essence hasn't been lost. It's just transformed and changed its form. And this is what's happening within us when we have these moments of emotional build-up and this crescendo of a shift and a nervous system signal being sent out to help us to reset. So it's really important to look at how we tell ourselves the story of what's going on in these moments. Because to tell ourselves a story that we're failing, that we're somehow regressing, is just not accurate. And I would pose that to anyone. regardless of how much personal growth you've done or how spiritually evolved you consider yourself to be, these moments will still find you intermittently. And so again, some people on a spiritual path think, I'm regressing, I'm not as evolved as I thought I was, I haven't done enough work on myself, etc., when these moments happen. But in truth, it's just another signal that you're ready to reset and grow and learn more about yourself, if you view it in that particular fashion. If you think about the wave, it's not failing as it moves forward. It's when it breaks, it's just continuing to progress in a forward direction by changing its form. No one calls a breaking wave a failure. It's just natural. Yet, often we don't give ourselves the same leeway. If I were to reflect on a recent example of this for me, not so long ago, I found myself developing some symptoms, most notably a rash on my shoulder and different skin outbreaks that didn't seem to be triggered by anything in particular. And my natural inclination was to start to look at, what am I doing wrong? I assumed that these outbreaks were related to my mental and emotional state, and as they didn't follow any kind of exposure to anything physical or anything that I'd eaten or drunk that was different to normal. And so my initial impression was to go into doubting myself and assuming that I'd failed in some way on my journey of physical and spiritual evolution. And in truth, I could see that what was actually going on is I was being invited to explore other layers within myself by looking at the representation that these rashes had. And I used my metaphysical book to see what the deeper explanation for these physical symptoms were, and I found a whole other layer of work to do on myself, just like peeling back layers of an onion. And so from the outside, it looked like I'd gone backwards. But when I took the time to reflect and explore in a deeper way, I could see that this apparent failing of my body was just an invitation to go inwards and to find more, to find what was calling out to me, and to hear the resonance of that call and bring compassion and love and healing to aspects of myself that had to that point been unrecognized and unacknowledged. And I see it over and over again with my clients. People coming to me and seeing what's going on in their life as them falling apart and failing to function as a human being. And once we start to explore what's going on and they can see the gift that is being offered by the apparent breakdown, we find that there is a wisdom within what's going on that can then guide the process of introspection, of diving into unconscious patterns or dealing with unaddressed subconscious woundings. And so again, once the exploration begins, there's a clearer sense that there's no failing here. There's an invitation. And so now I'd like to offer a moment of inner exploration. Take a little moment to not dive into a deep moment of chaos from your life, a moment that necessarily has a lot of emotional charge associated with it, but to access just a small moment, a moment that can give you a sense of what it means to bring sensitivity and compassion and gentleness to these moments of inner chaos that we at times have trouble bringing this type of attitude towards. So, if you're comfortable in doing so, I invite you to take a comfortable posture and either close your eyes or let your eyes lower so that you can engage more internally with this little mini meditation I seek to offer in this video. And think for a moment of a small moment from this week where things just felt a bit tight, a bit pressured, or just a bit heavier than expected. Nothing big, just an experience that left a trace of emotion. Acknowledge that moment, revisit it now. Maybe it was a conversation where you felt slightly misunderstood. Maybe it was a moment where someone needed something from you, but you were already tired. A message you didn't have the energy to respond to. Or even just a small frustration like running late or plans changing suddenly. Just something that stimulated that mild inner chaos. And bring that moment to mind. The way you'd look at a wave in an observing stance from the shore. Perhaps that wave built up very quickly and threatened to break in rapid fashion, or maybe it was the end point of a slow build across the day. And notice right now where you feel it in your body, your being, even if it's only subtle. Maybe your chest, your throat, your abdomen, shoulders, anywhere. The emotion expresses itself through the body. You're not analysing it. You're just noticing the shape of the wave. And I don't mean that literally. Your wave can present in any way it wishes to show up now as you meet it with curiosity. Now sense this wave or this emotion cresting. The pressure's been built up and it is allowed to release in whatever way. Whether that was a surge through the body or through a behaviour, but also now how you experience it. Perhaps at the time you didn't allow the wave to be expressed the way it sought to. But in this moment, you can bring a different feel to the experience. Soften around it. It's not about making sense of it, thinking about it. It's just allowing that little wave to break and settle within you. And just notice any shifts, even just slightly, as the pressure releases. This is all you need. A small meeting within yourself. A gentle way of letting your inner wave change form. So now just gently start to bring your awareness back to the space that you're in, feeling into your environment with your sense of hearing and touch. And when you're ready, return back. Thank you if you chose to participate in that exercise fully. I hope you could sense that simply bringing this curious, open awareness to moments where everything feels intense and chaotic can be incredibly healing. Some of the work that I do with people goes into integrated depth and exploration around different parts of the psyche and personality and woundings, and sometimes I get lost in finding the bigger, deeper moments, because I guess that's part of me that is seeking to find the experiences that offer the deepest healing. But even just moments like the one that hopefully you touched on there, and moments that I've found in working with some of my clients where simply compassionate acceptance is brought to an emotion is all that's needed. That allowance, that acceptance and that compassion. So in closing, I hope you can see that chaos is not punishment. It's a transition. It's a way, it's a way in which your nervous system is seeking to bring you back to coherence. So if you meet your waves with compassion and acceptance, you can fully register the request that is being sent out by your nervous system. And this, like so many of the things that help us to evolve and integrate, is a simple yet powerful act of love to ourselves. Thank you.